So we are constantly analyzing, breaking it down, trying to figure out how to help people navigate these really difficult but familiar couple relationships, regardless of where you live or what station of life you're in. Communication is always an issue. So it's like, how do we navigate that? Conflict is always an issue. The power dynamics in a relationship, always an issue. So how do we navigate those? But yeah, if people had as much time as we have to just sit and analyze this and have these really profound conversations, I mean, aren't we blessed to have that? Then we all learn.
Hello, Shannon.
Hi, Chico.
How are you doing this fine April day?
I'm good. We are in the midst of the end of the school year storm, which we will be out of very soon since our youngest is graduating
Complete
from
empty
college.
nesters
Yay,
coming
let's go.
May. Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Yay.
we are ready for that transition. We've had a lot on our plate for this next month, starting last weekend to mid-May. So we got a lot happening. But we're always finding time to get in and do a podcast, and it's fun. I got some stuff, on this podcast that I'm going to ask, and I'm excited about it. But what I'm excited about today is on our podcast, we have a couple guests that in some ways are a lot like us.
Well, they are a couple.
Yes, they are a couple doing a lot of the same things that we're doing, but we're here in Dallas and they're up in Eastern Washington. And we spent a little time with them on Zoom, got to hear a little bit of their story, but I'm excited about bringing, Jen and Jake Dean on. It's Dr. J and Jay. They're both have PhDs. And so we're excited to bring them on. They've written a book called Two Crowns, One Kingdom, helping couples and leaders build shared power at home and work. And so there's a lot of similarities with you and I, me being a therapist and a coach, and you being a coach and doing a lot of those same things. So let's welcome Jen and Jake on today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are y'all doing?
It's so good to be here.
We're doing great. And what an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much. It's just
thank you.
fun to meet like-minded people.
Completely. I mean, we connected kind of immediately because we both work with couples and it's the same stuff. You hear the same stories, the same things, even though you're in different parts of the country with different things going on. And it's so good to connect. And I think it's good for the couples listening to know how they can grow too, because they can connect.
Well, and I like it, Jake and Jen, is we didn't just connect on the fact that we're both working with couples. I mean, we have some similarities that we didn't even realize until we started unpacking. And what was that big similarity that, y'all as a young couple, when y'all were first married, just like us, what was that we were connecting on?
What was it?
Well, I would say we really connected just when it came to being able to both have ambition, right? And wanting to achieve and career goals, but also wanting to raise children. And we really wanted to do it all, right? So that's the challenge when you have what we call high achieving couples, right? It's like, how does everybody get kind of their piece of the pie? And it feels like you're kind of negotiating. And if you're not careful, it shoots you into this scarcity, like fear mentality that says there's only so much to go around and it's my turn. No, it's my turn. So we really promote, no, there's enough to go around. Sometimes we have to take turns. But to really listen to each partner, regardless of your gender, what is your aspirations? What are your dreams? And for everybody, it's different. But sometimes you get into marriage and it's all of a sudden these stereotypes get put on you, right? And you don't quite know how to navigate those.
Right.
Well, the one thing that I was thinking of, and y'all don't know what I'm thinking, but I'm going to share it, is that young life, connection that we all have, that young life connection, and
well, I kind of forgot that too, because we have a young life connection, but then also Jen and I were both teachers at one point.
That's true. Yeah.
We've both been in this, therapeutic space, Jen as a therapist, me as a life coach, but then also just working with your business, it's been an interesting study of marriage and how you can, when you work together and you want to complement your life at home and at work, and it's, falling into those roles. And we realize that we've both done that.
Yeah, I think that mental load falls more on women to try to figure out how to navigate that, birth the babies, nurse the babies, and then try to figure out your career for sure.
And then becomes a capacity issue, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The connections were quick and easy with you guys. And we just so enjoyed this time. And that's why we were so excited just to be on your podcast.
Yeah, there's so much connection. What we were thinking is like, man, I would love to hear y'all working with couples. We're here in the South, and it's in kind of the Bible Belt buckle. So you have all this. Y'all are up there in the the Great Northwest, which is beautiful, and it's a lot different, in some ways, but similar in a lot of ways. And I think the similarity is just the human condition, and how we approach that. And so I was really wanting to know about, from y'all's practice, working together, and then in individual practice, what are the things you see people coming to you, or you hear in your church or whatever, struggles in their marriage? What would you list as the top 3 things that people are coming in and wanting to get that, what y'all's book is about, that 2 crowns?
Well, would you like me to answer that, honey?
No, I want to answer it.
Well, go for it. After you.
The first thing that came to mind would be, I feel like there oftentimes is a power struggle, but I think the biggest thing is couples have a different idea of what marriage is supposed to look like. And because we don't go into a relationship handing them our diagram or our list of, this is all the expectations I have out of marriage and out of my spouse, right? We just fall in love, we cross our fingers, and we jump in and hope for the best. But when the rubber meets the road, you hear a lot of couples just conflicting in terms of time together, time alone, finances, kids, parenting, in-laws, all of the things that come up in marriage, which is normal, but a lot of it is not expressing and never coming to what we call making purple out of pink and blue. Mm-hmm. In terms of, this is the marriage you want, this is the marriage I want. And so part of it is wearing 2 crowns means you know yourself and know what you want enough to present that to your partner, and then they do the same. And then we can say, this is what we want out of marriage instead of what I want out of marriage.
That's good.
What would you say?
So there's that self-awareness piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
The self-awareness
absolutely.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, self-awareness. Well, I would say, the 3 things often here is money, sex, and in-laws, right? That's kind of how the joke goes, right? But we know as therapists that those are just symptoms of usually poor communication, poor self-awareness, right? Poor self-leadership, poor self-regulation, right? Those types of things that is really a little bit abstract and ambiguous to our clients. So one of the things that we did is we're like, gosh, we would really like some kind of a curriculum to be created that it entertains us and we enjoy it. And it has all these deep clinical terms that we all went to college for. And, we're tired of having to use these and not connect. Our big thing is to connect with our people, right? So in our book, that's what we did, is we have that imagery, which is all about having a good relationship where there's good communication, where you're working together as a team. We call it a power couple. But what does that look like, and how do we break it down? So we really try to make it very simple as far as, we just need good communication. You need to be able to have alignment with one another. There needs to be a value for equity, depending on the marriage model that you have. There's a lot of marriage models. We encourage people, pick whatever kind that you like. We specialize in what we call peer marriages, PEER marriages. And that's where both partners just really want to have career aspirations typically, and also parent aspirations. So,
Right. They want equality in that.
yeah.
The other fun thing in our curriculum and what you see in our book is, like she said, we have this fairy tale thematic theme, and we like to debunk the myth that you can't have a fairy tale for your marriage, because everybody wants their happily ever after, everybody wants their Prince Charming, right? But a lot of people are kind of down on this idea because it doesn't seem realistic. Like, you don't, I mean, life's not a fairy tale, but we like to remind people that fairy tales have dark forests, they have villains, and it's all still part of the fairy tale. And we love helping couples work through their dark forest moments so they can get through and have that adventure together and get to the castle, or conquer the witch, or whatever it is, because there's all of those things battle us in life, right? As a couple, there's tragedy, there's crisis, there's trouble. And we think that's all what makes the beautiful love story.
I love
think,
that
I
a
do
bunch.
too.
That's kind of the same, but we use different terms. And it's that whole same thing at, that dark forest and stuff like that. What we call that is the messy middle. How do you step into the messy middle? Because life is messy, and what we see, kind of just looking at y'all on the screen, I'm in the middle right here. So I'm the messy middle. And then y'all are over here on the left side. And what we would call that I call that the passive side. And then on the other side where Shannon is the impulsive side, not passive aggressive, but impulsive, in the sense of, hey, it might come across as aggressive, but it's really, you might see some addiction issues, some blowing up, kind of unreal healthy behavior and stuff like that. The passive side is we stick our head in the sand. We don't share. That messy middle side is what we're trying to help people do and navigate, is learning how to get curious, learning how to hold space, learning how to be vulnerable. And so it's similar. I love your model, and I can't wait to get your book and really utilize it. And so that's exciting.
Well, and it's also what it brings up for me is we like the simplicity of the the imagery, like you're talking about. I love that, because we try to use all the, a little bit of inner child work, but to get into the messy middle, you have to make it more childlike, the whole big picture. And so it's like the messy middle, which, as we were coming up with kind of these concepts, I had trouble with the word messy, because I am such
clean.
An organized,
She's very clean.
And everything.
It's like,
and
I can throw my stuff wherever, I just,
right. And I told Chico, I go, the picture in my mind is like a cartoon, like the Roadrunner blowing up roads and
Linus.
stuff. Like I don't need
or
a
Linus,
messy road.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, or Linus. I don't need a messy road. I don't need a pig pen. Yeah. I don't need that. And so, but Chico pointed out that no. Getting into the messy middle is to get out on the other side with your, the rainbow, the fairy tale, all the things. The messy middle is really the dark forest and all those things.
Correct.
That everybody avoids and doesn't want to be around.
So how do we teach? How do we teach or guide? Not even teach. How do we guide couples into through into the dark forest, through the dark forest, into the messy middle, through the messy middle? Okay, because when you're just telling them, you need to get into the dark forest and you need to get through it, or you need to get into the messy middle, that paralyzes
getting
people.
into the dark forest.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Wouldn't our job just be easy if we're like going, just get through the dark forest?
Yes.
Right.
Or just walk through the messy middle. Yes.
Yeah, just get through the messy middle.
Just stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're the same, right? Well, there's no distinction between our clients and ourselves. We all have the messy middles. We all have the dark forest. So we're trying to navigate that, as a couple, right? So we're going on 33 years of marriage this month. So this is something that we always say, oh, thanks. If it works for us, it's going to work for anybody, but we're all in this together, right? So it's our job, right, is that we have the honor of really breaking this down and trying to figure out how to coach people through this as easily as possible. And sometimes you learn things by falling on your face, right, and making big mistakes. That's the big thing I would say is there's just no shame.
Right.
Remove the shame. Just have a lot of grace and honor for where we're at in our journey. Sometimes we come from homes that just don't have a lot of resources, emotional or pasts, right? That we have no idea how hard people are working to just stay on the rails and stay maintaining in their relationships. So that's the first thing I say is give grace to yourself, grace to your partner, and self-compassion, empathy is huge. Otherwise, shame makes you hide, right? Grace helps you and honor to live out in the open, right? So that's the first thing as therapists. And I know just talking with you guys, we're all on the same page on that. It's like, how do we help people drop their armor? How do we help them just feel safe that not only are they in a safe place that we're going to help them, but we're also on our journey too, and that we still have to learn. We're learning this too. So that's the first thing I would say. Just a lot of compassion. What would you say, honey?
Yeah, I think the thing we talk a lot about with the dark forest is, for one, normalizing it. A lot of couples are like, we must have chosen the wrong mate because we're in the dark forest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because if we were perfectly compatible,
tell me about it. I'm kidding.
right, we wouldn't be here. So part of it is just normalizing that to say, and we would much rather have a couple come in just really, passionate about where they're at. And maybe that's anger and maybe that's frustration, right? Because they may be really angry, right? Our spouse can probably make us the most angry out of any human on the planet.
Right.
But we much rather would have that than couples coming in and they're completely complacent. They're
Indifferent
to each other.
Yeah.
They don't really care. And that's a lot harder to work with because they don't have the capacity.
It's almost the train's left the station and they're just kind of doing this to meet with us, y'all, as a check mark. Okay, I did the work, but they're really not doing the work. They're guarded. They have the walls up, And I like what you said, Jen. If what are the three things people come in? Money, sex, in-laws. But what we call that's the thing. But what's the thing underneath the thing?
The roots.
And so we
Yeah.
really try to do some of those things, and it's like, man, if they're already Jake, if the train's already left the station and they're just doing this so they can go back and tell, their, external family, oh, I did therapy and I tried, but blah, blah, blah. No, they're not open to really working and looking at their stuff. What we've done, we did this there's about 40 couples and we did like a 2-3 hour training. What we did, kind of talking about similar to y'all, is we come in and we bring 2 suitcases and we each pack stuff that we brought into the marriage that was already packed there before, we ever got married, and we unpack it and really talk about you think when you're young and getting married, we're 31 years this year. It's like, I am such a different person than I was 31 years ago.
True. Yeah.
For sure.
And Shannon's a different person, And so it's like we bring that stuff in, and if we don't understand how to, unpack that and like what you said, Jen, is have grace and mercy towards each other and ultimately
Compassion,
yourself and compassion, it's not going to work.
But don't you guys find this too? That we're constantly debunking the myth that soulmates are discovered instead of nurtured.
Oh,
It's like,
my goodness.
Oh.
We're gonna suddenly
so
walk around the
good.
corner and go, there you are, the rest of my life. I've been looking for you,
Yes.
right? And so
Yes.
what we find is people are on their second, third marriages, and they're like, maybe it's me. Maybe we have to develop this different. So that's another thing we say. We debunk that myth, and we say marriages, it actually, soulmate takes around 20 years to nurture.
Totally.
So you
Yes.
just don't meet it and you're there.
Right.
That's
Right.
very
And I think that's another myth that adds to the myth of, people telling you, oh, when you get married, you become one and, don't go to bed angry or whatever. Well, that creates the world where everything survives as a unit. Like I am not always sad when Chico's sad. I'm not always happy when Chico's happy. I mean, how can we travel around as a unit? So you have to build that. I can say that he's my soulmate because you're exactly right. That's been built. Because I can tell him, I can step into the messy middle and say, I need you to not be happy around me right now or whatever. I need to be sad.
take a break. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
Well,
breaks
well,
you.
Shannon, you
Or-
said the other night we're in bed and I'm just kind of talking and trying to, get in her space. And she goes, she just looked at me and it was all right. And this was that soulmate experience. Will you just stop talking?
No. I said 2 words. Stop talking.
Lucky.
Yes, just stop talking. She didn't want to hear my, just
Your
jibber
beautiful
jabber.
voice.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Well, I
She
didn't have the capacity for whatever at the end of the day, end of the night. I mean, anyway, so
Yeah, we have that too. Friday nights, it's like no FaceTime with anybody, ourselves. Everybody just needs to self-regulate, take a minute.
It's
yes,
movie night.
yes.
It's movie night. Somebody entertains us.
And I think couples can communicate, individuals can communicate better when they are guided to self-regulate, to be self-aware, to have that awareness that I needed Chico to not take it personally. Because it was all about me. It was all about my self-awareness, my capacity. Everything about it was about me, not
Right.
about him.
Shannon, don't you find that hard? Women struggle with that. That's in women's
Yes.
world, that's considered so rude. And I tell women that all the time. For men, it's clear, it's kind, it's concrete. They get it. So we have to learn. You find that with the women that you work
Yes,
with?
because
both of you?
when we take we do individual and then we come together. And when I'm working individual with a woman, my first exercise with them is to they need to figure out what they need and how to ask for it. And figuring out what they need is so hard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's like asking a man what he feels. The reverse.
Exactly.
It's
And
true.
Chico has to do
Yeah.
that with the males. He has to be like, okay, what are you feeling? And they're like, they say something that's, I feel like she never
doesn't
listened. She
understand
doesn't listen
me.
to me.
I feel
it's
like she.
I feel
Yeah.
like she's an idiot. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
But I like when Shannon asks that question to women, what do you need? But it can't be about your husband or your kids or something like that. What do you actually enjoy? What do you
Well,
want
really,
to do?
how I lead them into the exercise is I make them come up with 10 things that they enjoy doing. And it can't have money is not an object. Time is not an object. Nothing's an object. They have to tell me 10 things that they would just really enjoy doing, but it can't include their kids or their husband.
Ooh, that's good.
That's perfect.
I bet you there's a lot of crickets in the room when you
Oh
ask that.
my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes, they get completely
Yeah.
overwhelmed. But then when they start thinking, well, I used to really like to garden. And if money wasn't a limit, I would go to the nursery on a Saturday and buy all the flowers and I would have a landscaping company come and I would like be my own landscape architect and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well then pare it back to fit into your life and maybe you just need a little herb garden.
Yeah, exactly.
On your kitchen counter.
on your kitchen counter.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but
That's
it
good.
makes them so happy. And
Yeah.
and then I'm like, and ask for it. Learn what you need, and then I need to have an indoor garden, and then say to your husband, I'm taking this counter space or whatever. But I mean, this is all very on the fly example,
But I was thinking, Jen and Jake, is, you know, y'all do this like we do it here in Dallas. Y'all are doing it in Eastern Washington. And we're doing this on a daily basis, working with couples. Y'all, I can see y'all have this good, healthy marriage. We talk about healthy versus unhealthy. Healthy doesn't mean that everything's, all, perfect. No, it's like we can step into the messy middle or the, the scary forest or whatever it is. But what it's crazy. I want to give like this example from this weekend. This weekend we were down in Austin at Parents Weekend, and we've gotten to know these parents, and it's our son. He's a senior. We've gotten to know these boys and stuff like that, and I like it. It's like I just got on a call with one of these parents that are good friends, and they were talking about their oldest daughter, and he really said he thought I was like a freaking rocket scientist when I just talked about one little simple concept. And I was telling Shannon, most people don't understand this simple concept that we're interacting with on a daily basis. And the simple concept was their daughter was going to get married. They postponed the wedding, and she was getting into, while they're in Austin, she's in Chicago, just kind of blowing up their phone. I just go, just get curious with her. Don't ask why questions. And it was like, they thought I was the smartest guy ever.
That's what Jen always says.
Wow.
She says, get curious instead of furious.
Yeah, get curious.
Yes.
oh yeah, curious instead of furious. I love that.
And so it's like, I was just wondering what are some of those ideas that we sometimes just take for granted, for what we do when you might be at a dinner party or out with friends and they just don't get it,
Well,
and
so
I'm
we
not
see-
faulting them.
No, and I always say, well, you'd get it too if you were doing this 30 hours a week. Right? Really, we just are constantly, we're social scientists, right? So we are constantly analyzing, breaking it down, trying to figure out how to help people navigate these really difficult but familiar couple relationships, regardless of where you live or what station of life you're in. Communication is always an issue. So it's like, how do we navigate that? Conflict is always an issue. The power dynamics in a relationship, always an issue. So how do we navigate those? But yeah, if people had as much time as we have to just sit and analyze this and have these really profound conversations, aren't we blessed to have that? Then we all learn. We grow, they grow, and then we come up with some maybe clever little strategy or model or theory, right? So
it's such a good point, Shannon, that a lot of times our job is just holding up the mirror.
Yes.
So that people can discover what they need, discover who they are, discover what they believe, all of those things about themselves that, especially moms, they put themselves on the shelf while they're parenting or they're trying to be the perfect spouse. And so then they forget what shelf they put themselves on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they don't know, like, what did I used to love? What is my personality? Do I want to be around people? Do I want to be alone? All of those things. And we just love helping people rediscover themselves, really.
That's so true. Reclaim who really, I call it the divine design. This is who you are, right? So let's get back to who you really are and how you were
God
made to
created
function.
you, yeah.
Because that's when you'll have the most peace, the most harmony, the most success, wealth, health.
And you can come together as a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're your best self, then you make a better us.
Yes. And do you find that I don't know that men feel this way. I'm going to have Chico and Jake answer this, but Jen, I find that, women feel so selfish all the time.
Yes.
They just, it's this guilt and selfishness all the time. And I don't know if men feel that, but it's trying to retrain. It's trying to retrain a woman's brain to not feel guilty or selfish about things that are very normal self-care and self-awareness and everything else. But
You're
Are
spot on
men,
with that, Shannon.
do men feel that way?
Nope. You don't have to tell men to go try to be selfish for yourself, because our culture trains us to be that way.
Yeah, I never have to tell a man, make sure you get some more golf in. You know, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
We just laugh thinking about it, right? But I tell women all the time, make sure you at least have time to take a bath for yourself, right? So it's like some of the basic
Right.
needs.
Don't do 1 week of hunting, do 2 weeks of hunting.
Explain the model we use, because this really has helped, and we see this flipped according to the gender, the love-centered.
Oh, yeah. We have this model that we call love-centered, living love-centered leadership. We kind of use it for everything, but it so applies to marriage, where you visualize like a stone thrown into a pond and it ripples out, right? And so the first ripple, right? Love is the source first of all, and you have to identify your love source. You know, for us, you know, it's our creator, and that is the key, is you're tapping into that love source. But the first circle is I matter.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand how I matter before you can go to the next circle, which is you matter. And so when I figure out how to love myself, who I am, all of those things, then I can show value and basically communicate the message that you matter. It's kind of like loving your neighbor as yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the third circle, which is we matter. So now I matter, now you matter, now we can matter as a couple.
Yeah.
And so that model is what shapes a lot of how we lead organizations, how we lead couples, because
Right.
you can't get that out of order. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Or you can't start with fear, because then you come from there, right? And then that's very contagious.
Right.
But to your point, Shannon, this is what I see is women are out in that outer circle living. How do we matter as a marriage or as a family? How do you matter as my partner?
Or our culture, our school.
Culture,
she was the
church
PTA
expectations.
president, you know,
Yes,
all those
yes.
things. It's like, boom.
Yes, everything.
It's
right?
we, and it's not. Yeah.
Yes. And where a lot of times they'll find the man, of course, we're stereotyping, is stuck down in the inner circle. I matter. He's nailing it. He is taking care of himself.
So good at the
He's
I matter.
But I said, you're doing that so that you can spread out to go, how do you matter? And then we matter. And then I tell the women, I'm like, get back to that first circle, because you're no earthly good unless you've taken care of yourself. And this is why you're burning out.
I love that illustration. I love what you're saying. I would have a little different spin on it, in the sense of
I wouldn't.
with
Go ahead.
men
Thanks, Jeff.
men. I like it that you're saying, hey, men are good at, you know, I matter, and it, but they're forgetting that, hey, it's really the creator. You know, it's like
That's what I was
I'm
gonna-
old school, you know, guy in long-term recovery, and it's like, there is, in Alcoholics Anonymous, it says there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him. Now, when you get focused on just you forget about, hey, man.
No. But that's not what their illustration is showing.
I know that's not what their illustration is showing. I'm just trying to say, you know, in right here in our culture, it's like, man, I matter because I spend time with my creator. That
Yes.
I
Yes.
go and I have that solitude. I learn how to connect with something, a power greater than myself.
That's what I was going to say. It's so good. It's so
Exactly.
good. I love
The love
that. I
source.
love that
Yeah,
illustration.
You start with the heart, love,
Yes.
right? Fill yourself before you go to I matter. Yeah, absolutely.
And to tell women that they, you know, get their value from their creator, and that they can the centerpiece, the creator doesn't want you to feel guilty, doesn't want you to feel not loved or not cared for. They only want to care for, I mean, the creator only wants to care for you. And so if you can, you know,
In the Pacific Northwest, you know, there's not a high emphasis like the Bible Belt, right, to church and religion. So what we find is that people are very into nature, right, which is the Creator's museum, right? It's really what is it that you're designed to connect with that builds love in your life, right? And for some of us, it's a deep faith in a God, but for some other people, it's a little bit more abstract, and it's like helping them to get in touch with what is it that they love, what brings light and love into their life, right? And that helps them to do nurturing work for themselves and others. So
Yeah, and it's connecting to self without being selfish.
correct, self-nurturing.
And yeah. And so you can connect to self without ruining the unit or
Yes.
tainting
Yeah.
the unit or whatever. But yeah.
And I love that, and I love that concept. I just get when I see a lot of men, especially here in the Dallas area and in other parts of the country, it's like they're all into themselves, but they think they got there somehow, some way, that they've been real successful in the world, and it's all because they're just, this. And when I see men that are real healthy, as they know how to take care of themselves, but they have a connection, like Alcoholics Anonymous says, with a power greater than themselves, which is love, which is that place. And so it's like it becomes that.
You just made a heart with your hands. That is funny.
Look at that.
Love is pouring out of you, Chico.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Our kids are going to have a heyday with that.
Yes.
That's great.
It's great.
It's cool when you do see couples begin to, connect, get back, first connect with themselves. And what y'all were talking about with the ripple and stuff like that and the identity is, man, we really talk a lot about not being human doers, but being human beings. And it's really hard for us as couples. What I did at the very beginning of this podcast, Dr. J&J and they have this great book. We identify people with what they do instead of who they are so many times. It becomes automatic, and it's like blinking our eyes instead of what does it look like to be a human. And that is tough. And so I've really spent a lot of time in the last 4 or 5 years to get away from, hey, I'm a therapist. In the past, I've owned a treatment center. Here's Chico, this is what he's done instead of that. And so what is my God-given identity? And so what I've done a lot of work on that. And I believe my God-given identity is I'm an authentic connector and I'm a restorer of hope. And so that's my identity.
That's
Instead
beautiful.
of
Well,
what I've done.
and also on the flip side of that, so with men, getting them to step away from their identity with work or success as they see it or whatever, I had no identity for years because I was Chico's wife.
I would introduce her.
was
Hey, this is my
his-
wife. I didn't even say her name, Shannon. My wife? She actually has a name.
Right. Yes. True. And then I was his business manager for his treatment center, which I had to change through my own work. I had to change my language. It's our treatment center. We started it. We, created this, what we do now. But I never thought, and I never needed the professional accolades. And he maybe did because he's a man. And that meant that he was providing for his family and that he was, doing what he was supposed to do. I never needed professional accolades. So I just worked.
I did need that too. I'm so proud
Well,
of you,
now I
Shannon.
do. Well, now I have changed.
She has radically changed. She's
I love it.
radically changed. And
I
she
need the
goes, no,
title. I
I
need the
started these
education."
treatment centers. I did all this. She
Good.
did all the
Well,
stuff.
Yeah.
I call it
take
a
your-
relapse now because
Oh, yeah.
I was suffering from a lot of codependency and
Yeah, which is we're groomed for a lot as women. Yeah. No, I had to reconcile that more too. And in fact, that's when I actually started the business. And for a short period of time, I was the main provider and Jake joined in. And so we had a little bit of reverse on that. But we, that was about the time we changed our names and we both took each other's name. And I'm Dean and he's Hill. So we're the Dean Hills.
Yeah.
So that's where we really started just really living out. This is what we believe, that we both matter, but how is there a place for both of us? We both have a dream in our hearts. I don't think our creator would give us these dreams and desires and not give us a way to fulfill them.
Right.
But it did take a lot of maneuvering to feel confident in who you are and knowing that you're kind of breaking the rules, some taboos and different things. So yeah, we both early on did have some real opposition from people correcting us or telling us we're stepping out of line or different things. So
yeah, people definitely looked at me sideways when I have a hyphenated name, and they're like trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
And I loved it because it was such a conversation starter to say, oh, I took my wife's maiden name because I want to honor her family like she honored my family. And they're like, oh, I never
That's so awesome.
thought of that.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, but we just assume that women are just going to honor his family by taking his name because that's what we've always done. But it was like such an honor to me to be referred to as a Dean Hill because that I cherish her family and her family name and I think
as I do his.
So it's such a great public illustration of who we are as a couple.
Yeah.
But I could see the pushback happen.
There was.
Why?
Yeah. It's a little bit more trendy maybe now, but at the time it was not. It was not, but we just really.
Oh yeah, we were ahead of our time.
We let people think whatever they wanted to. We just knew in our hearts what we needed to do, and that was a kind of a proclamation of a new beginning for both of us as a couple to really not live matriarchal, not live patriarchal, but to really live egalitarian. Like how do we come together, right? And this is what we specialize in because we have not by any stretch of the imagination mastered it, but it's been such a fun journey to really figure out what does that look like, right curriculum for that, curriculum that we wish we had when we were making these changes about 20 years ago. So
for sure.
Yes. So in fact, that reminds me of my example of what I have done in the past few years that I can share with couples now as part of the growth, self-awareness growth and all that kind of stuff is that, so I got my master's. I think we talked about this maybe, but I got my master's at SMU when Chico was working there because I realized I could go to school for free. And so I got it. I never participated in any graduation ceremonies because I had a baby. And I realized I never got my diploma. I just never ordered one. And so I called SMU and had to do they had to go to the archives basically. It was
and
like
give you a DNA sample.
They had to, right. They had to do a deep dive. And I think they were kind of like, this is such an odd request, but I was like, I'm going to make it. So I got my diploma, the hard copy.
Good.
And I framed it and I put it in my office. So just as I said, I didn't need the accolades. What I did through my work and growth is I realized that was mine to have.
It'd be nice, I think at least, again, I'm stereotyping, but women typically think very collaborative. So we don't necessarily think hierarchical or titles, right? Unfortunately, this is what is the demise to a lot of women when they don't say, hey, this title is deserving of me and I need to claim this because it gives me a place at the table. And that is a lot of times considered selfish, to use, the cardinal sin for women, right? Mm-hmm. Or being arrogant or self-serving. But it's just being responsible and saying, I'm an equal and I need this and I deserve this. And it lets me, opens doors for me, creates positions and advancement for me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. This is such good stuff. And Jake, I know you have an appointment, so I want to honor your time, but I want to honor both of y'all because I am like a time Nazi when I meet with people. It's like I start on time, I end on time, I respect people's time.
You're amazing.
This discussion can be to be continued. And
and so
you guys are going to be on our show.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so that's what I'm excited. I was going to say, man, we're going to get to be on y'all's show and we can't wait to do that. and maybe we'll ruffle some feathers with this little short hairy Texas guy and his wife. But who knows?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
continue the conversation.
Yeah.
For sure. I would love it if there's anything you can leave our audience. I mean, if you're thinking, hey, a little jewel from your book or whatever.
So we
Or
call
if
it is the
people in
crown
your
jewel.
area
The
want to
crown jewel.
contact you or whatever.
We,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we would say, gosh, wear two crowns. Like you have a crown, own your kingdom. And then when you come together, be co-rulers. And that is very easy summary of it, but it's very difficult to accomplish. And it
Mhm.
takes years, if not decades, to really just keep working at it. So that's
Well, and I like
Yeah.
what y'all said. It's a journey. It's not a destination.
No, have
Yes,
fun with
and
it.
so
it's
it's
an
like,
adventure.
We
yes,
use we use a
continue
lot
on
of,
the
A fairy
journey.
tale.
yeah, and have use a lot of
Right.
humor. I mean, laugh
Exactly.
at yourself. We're funny humans,
Yes.
and what we thought was really cool was not cool, or
Yeah.
what we thought was we were nailing it. We're like going, did not nail that, So
Right.
have a lot of
Right.
grace and humor.
And you can find us on all the platforms. Our podcast is called the Doctors J&J Podcast. Very
Right.
original. Our book, obviously, you can get on Amazon, Two Crowns, One Kingdom. And our website is doctorsjakeandjen.com. There's two N's in the Jen,
Yes,
just so you know.
I do have another one, Reclaiming Eden, and it's all about the dynamics of men and women, and also having churches to support men and women relationships. So,
Excellent
Oh,
book.
that's great.
thank you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're
Excellent.
so excited.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will be in touch soon.